Today's fellow fasting foodie friend has lost 25 pounds from fasting and has been able to maintain this weight loss for over a year. Our guest now enjoys maintenance without the decision fatigue many of us know from dieting. She's a 45-year-old fitness instructor and stay-at-home mom in Colorado. Our guest today is Ashley Siegfried. Welcome, Ashley.
Hi, Jackie. So nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us.
Absolutely.
Are you fasting right now, or have you broke your fast for the
yes,
day?
It's 11 a.m. in Denver, Colorado. And so, yes, I am fasting.
Awesome. And you told me right before we got on that you just taught a class. So do you teach all your classes fasting?
Oh, absolutely. It's the only way to go, for sure. You feel so good, so energized. I can't even imagine eating before I work out anymore. That just sounds weird and yucky.
Yeah. I'm not a big daily exerciser. I like to walk. That's my fitness of choice. So when people ask me, I'm like, well, I do physical things like putting mulch in the garden while fasting. I do choose to do that, but I'm not a regular exerciser. So you're a great source to get that from.
Yeah. It's really once your body's used to it, it just feels so great.
Yeah, because you can provide your own energy.
Yeah, exactly. Your body knows exactly where to get that energy from. So
that's awesome. Do you have people in your class that fast with you?
It still is pretty. I mean, it's getting more popular around here, but it still is like I don't know. People think I'm kind of crazy. So yeah. So it's not super popular yet.
But I would think that watching an instructor lead a class and do well is a better testament than many things.
Exactly. I would think so too. I think it's just that old kind of gym mindset of like eating small meals, like, eat right before you work out and then eat your protein after you work out. And then, it's just that everybody's still kind of in that mindset. So I'm trying to educate where I can without people thinking I'm too nuts. But
yeah. Hey, sometimes nuts is good.
Yeah.
Do you have anything special to look forward to in your eating window today?
So I love to cook. That's part of the reason why I love this lifestyle, because I enjoy cooking so much and I enjoy eating the food that I cook, and why I love to follow you, Jackie, because I know you're a foodie as well. And so I am making, it's winter time here in Colorado. It's cold. I am making a stew and salad, and if I am still hungry, I'll have some bread, and it'll be delicious and comforting. And so I'm really looking forward to that tonight.
That's awesome. And just because you mentioned stew, can you talk about how you would approach stew when you were dieting versus how you're able to approach like just that simple meal?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Yeah, I mean, before I probably would have been like, all right, like, these are all like the little decisions in your head that you have to make. Okay, so how much oil did I use? Okay, so I used a little bit of oil here. What other ingredients are going in that are high calorie? Like, should I put potatoes in? Should I not put potatoes in? Should I put the potatoes in but maybe not eat the potatoes? Should I? Definitely probably shouldn't have bread. How much should I put in my bowl? It's just like all those little questions that like, I hate that stuff. And now it's like, it's such food freedom to just be like, I'm going to put as much stew as I want in my bowl, and I'm going to eat until I'm satisfied, and I don't care. Like, I don't care about any of that. It's so great.
It's so funny that you mentioned stew, because it's something I don't make often, but I made it recently, and I had bread with it, which I know in the past I love to dip my bread in gravy. That's pretty much the only time that I'm like a big bread person, is if I'm dipping it. And I thought, wow, having bread with this, and I buttered it, it just felt, I was like, I know the last time I had stew, I probably didn't do that. And it's amazing to feel the difference without it being a cognitive decision. I just like,
that's right.
This is just an enjoyable meal. That's probably why I never made stew frequently, is because it was too time intensive to think about.
Exactly. Yeah, it is. It's such a great feeling just to be able to like, I feel like I can eat like a normal person now. Like, it's so, it's such great freedom.
That's awesome. Do you have any favorite window openers?
So it kind of depends. My window openers vary based on what time I open my window and what I have going on at night. I have 3 little kids, so not little, but they're all like grade school, like, so 12, 10, and 8. And so we some nights we have I have activities all the way up until we eat dinner. Some nights we have a little bit more freedom and we don't have anything going on. And so on those nights, I will open my window with like probably some really good hard cheese, like a hard Parmesan or pecorino or something like super salty. Because, you know, as a faster, you always like are craving that salt, like you want that salty thing. And then definitely some veggies and fruit kind of all together on a little snack plate is what I usually do.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, some nights it literally is like, you know, we get home from activities and I usually have planned some sort of meal to either make quickly or it's already ready to go in the crock pot or whatever. And we just start eating our dinner. So makes it simple.
You do OMAD, right?
Yes, I do.
Can you kind of explain for everyone how you approach OMAD and the flexibility that it offers you?
Yeah. Oh gosh. It's when you say one meal a day, I mean, people like really don't understand fasting or the science behind it. And they really do like look at you like you're crazy. Like I've had lots of people just be like, I don't understand. You eat once a day. And, you know, it's like, and honestly, before I really understood what fasting was or the science behind what was going on during those hours you were fasted and the science of, you know, your hunger hormones and all that kind of stuff, I probably would have thought the same thing. I didn't realize like how, you know, you get, you know, the ghrelin hormone comes in, but then it goes back down. And it's just, you just sort of ride that little hunger wave and it goes away and you're totally fine again for hours. And I just thought like you got hungrier and hungrier and hungrier, you know? But yeah, so it's great. So for my OMAD, I always try and get at least 20 hours fasted every day. I think maybe you are like maybe 18 or something like that. I've heard you say before. I try to do 20 and usually like Monday through Saturday. Sunday, I take the day off of fasting and I don't fast at all.
Okay.
So Monday through Saturday, I'll do an OMAD. So I try to get at least 20 hours in. So for me, we're usually done eating around 7:30 or 8. So that would be about 3:30 or 4 the next day. Like I said, I have activities with my kids. So sometimes it's literally like one plate a day.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's, you know, I'll open my window at like 4 or 5 and then eat something small and then eat like a bigger dinner later of whatever I want to eat, which is great.
I think just like you were saying, people hear OMAD and they don't understand that it's not this uber restrictive thing that you're like bound by. It's actually extremely freeing because of you can do what you want in that window. And that could be different every day. It doesn't have to be a plate every day because you did it yesterday. It can be a 3-hour eating window. And so can you talk more about having Sundays off? I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, so I like to have brunch with my family. Like I like to make breakfast food.
Yeah.
I do like to eat. I don't like breakfast. I like brunch, if that makes sense. Because I love fancy eggs and I love you know, waffles or French toast or all that kind of stuff. So I love to make a brunch on Sundays, pancakes or whatever with my kids and my family. And so that's something that I just have always, you know, well, I think pretty soon on in, I kind of got in a routine of taking Sundays off. And I also think it's good because it kind of changes it up a little bit and keeps your body guessing.
Yep.
You know, your body's not always like, I expect food at 4 or 5 o'clock every day, you know? So I think and I, you know, now in maintenance and stuff, like I can totally take the day off of fasting. And when I do my OMADs the other days, I'm completely fine. I never gain any weight. Now, one thing I will do, Jackie, that I didn't tell you is that sometimes I do the alternate day fasting.
Okay.
Usually like if I've had like a celebratory weekend or if I'm going on vacation or I just got home from vacation or something where I did let my windows go a little bit longer, I'll throw in an ADF, which is the alternate day fasting. So, and I'm sure everybody who follows you knows what that is, but the down day and the up day kind of thing. But again, if I do that, I still always take Sunday off because it's just important for me to have that time with my family and to just kind of let my body rest and get that cortisol back down, you know, and just kind of not have to worry about it.
I love that you mentioned that it changes up your windows so that your body keeps guessing. But I also feel like there's so much for, as you say, spending time with your family. It's going to allow you to have a sustainable lifestyle on that side as well. The comfort, the spending time with loved ones, enjoying food the way that's important to you. You're not going to feel the restriction that, again, that people just assume is part of a fasting lifestyle. You're able to mold it to you. Sunday brunch is important to include, and you can move your windows to accommodate that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really, when I start thinking about OMAD as far as like, can I really see myself doing this for the rest of my life? Like, is this really like a long-term sustainable thing? And I really kind of thought, you know what? I really think it is, because of that day, that Sunday or one day a week or whatever, where I have that flexibility to live my life, to, do whatever I want, to not, and just that kind of, just knowing you have, one day a week where it's, you can meet up with friends for brunch, or you can go out for, and go out for a dinner or whatever it is, like have a, in the summers when you do like an all-day barbecue kind of thing. Just having that is because that's just part of living and life. And like you said, just enjoying your friends and family, and food is such a big part of living your life. So,
and even though yours is Sunday, even if, you could go to have a special event and not have it be Sunday and still have your Sunday, but once you learn to embrace the flexibility and see that it's not derailing everything that you do on a regular basis, it really is something that you can rest and know that you're doing well for yourself, even if you have those days that feel different. But that feeds mentally such a good spot of, oh, I'm able to go to my friend's wedding and have a different window than normal and not worry about what I did.
Yep. And that's the freedom in this lifestyle, is it's, there's no guilt, there's no worry. It's just, if you get right back into your routine and you're, doing your OMADs or whatever your window is, and you stick to that and you're consistent with it. And that's where the freedom is you don't have to worry about it.
Well, one thing that you wrote as we were corresponding is that you dismissed intermittent fasting the first time I heard of it because you were maintaining your weight by killing yourself just fine. And that made me laugh.
Right.
And when I was really young, to lose weight, I would do workouts and I could maintain any weight. This was in college. It stopped once I had children. But can you talk about the difference of that lifestyle and how you experience fasting now?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I mean, I've always been just, an everyday almost exerciser. I really enjoy exercise. It's something that for my mental health, it really helps with that. But, before I would just be like killing myself in the gym, like pushing it to the limit every single day, just so focused and so determined. As I was getting older and I was noticing less results with working out, it just would get more and more frustrating. Also just getting older, my body's not the same as it used to be as far as like, my knees and my joints and all that kind of stuff. I actually had a skiing accident a few years ago where I was hit by a skier and tore my ACL and a bunch of cartilage in my knee. And, really, I can't do that crazy intense workout like I used to. And so that's also why intermittent fasting is so great, because now when I go to the gym, it's such a difference. It's like, I lift whatever weight I want. If I want to lift light that day, I lift light. If I want to go heavier and challenge myself, I can do that. But I don't like place my value or my worth or my, just everything on like, oh, like have to do it because otherwise, that weight's going to creep up. And no, the weight doesn't creep up with intermittent fasting at all. It's just, I just exercise just for the mental health and for the fun and to see my friends. And that's another wonderful freedom that I found for sure.
That's awesome. And I often get asked, because as I mentioned, my exercise of choice is walking. I do that for mental. I like to get out of the house, be away, walking. In the winter, I don't do it outside as much. But people ask if I track my steps or I track. And the answer is no, simply because I'm not doing it to meet an objective. And that keeps it extremely sustainable when I'm able to do it because I enjoy it and I know I feel good. And I feel like with fasting, I've had so many of those types of shifts.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember, in the past before intermittent fasting, like if I had something come up in my schedule where it would cause me to miss a day at the gym, I would get like so anxious. Like I'd have all this anxiety, like, oh my gosh, like I'm not going to burn my calories for the day. And like, oh, what did I eat? And what can't I eat now? And, and now it's like, if I want to not go to the gym, I just don't go. And I don't even, it's not even a big deal at all. Like, it's just awesome. So
that's great. One thing I want to, as we're talking about this, doing it because it feels good, it reminded me when you mentioned doing down days after maybe a longer weekend or something special. Am I right in assuming that it's not punitive? It's because it feels better to get back into that rhythm?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for sure. Like if I don't have to do it, like if I just, went back to my OMAD, that would be fine. And I'm sure I wouldn't gain weight or, I think sometimes when you've eaten like a little bit more sugar or a little bit more than you normally would, sometimes it just feels good to just kind of let your digestive system just rest.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of, I don't know, I always feel like just having that good break from food after you've done a little bit more than normal.
Yeah.
It always just feels really good. And, I think, if I, totally 100% honest, like, I'm not worried that I'm going to like gain the weight or, oh, my pants are going to be tight or whatever. But, I mean, I just know like it's part of my lifestyle so much now that I don't look at it as like a punishment or anything like that. It's just like, I just do it because I enjoy it. It feels good in my body. And I know that my clothes are not going to be tighter. Nothing's going to, I don't have to worry. I don't have to stress out or worry about anything that I did or anything that I, if I'm going on vacation, like sometimes I'll do like an ADF before I go on vacation. And that just, I won't have any worry about anything while I'm there and I can enjoy. So,
yeah, I think that's really important, especially for new fasters, to hear that the flexibility and the choices that you make don't have to be like you're making up for it because you were off track or you're punishing yourself, as we said, that it can be that, and you learn this behavior. I think that it feels better while you're fasted and you learn what feels good, and that really shapes your behavior over time. As someone who's in maintenance for over a year, you're going to know what feels good for your body and what doesn't. And I think it's so much easier to let that guide your decisions than, I can't have the bread or the potatoes with the roast. There's just such a huge difference.
Exactly. Yeah. And it is such a great feeling not to have that constant stress.
So if someone is listening and they're new, you have mentioned a lot of resources that you like to read. Can you share some of your favorite resources for fasting?
Yeah. So for sure, all of Jen Stevens' books.
Mm-hmm.
I think her delay, don't deny. That catchphrase, honestly, is kind of what hooked me.
It's great.
In the beginning with fasting is like that. I don't have to deny myself. Like, it's such a great phrase. I just love that. But really, her fast, feast, repeat is when I really understood a lot of the science behind it. And I think it's really important if you're new to learn what is going on in your body while you're fasting. Don't just fast and be like, oh, somebody said I should do this many hours and then eat for this many hours. And I don't know, something is supposed to happen and I'm supposed to lose weight. Learn all you can about what's going on in your body, because that will give you a baseline knowledge and an understanding of why you're doing it, why it's important, why clean fasting is super important, which we haven't really talked about yet, but I'm sure we will. Why clean fasting is super important. And then, just how the whole thing comes together.
Yeah.
And then I love, I also listen to like a few podcasts also. So, like the intermittent fasting podcast is great. Especially when you're new, listening to some of the stories that are out there, other people, podcasts like this now that you're doing are just always so helpful. So I love that.
That's awesome. And I do agree that, I'm not someone that can regurgitate or tell you all of the science, but having the understanding and being convinced helps my resolve as I'm thinking of choices that I'm making or how I'm going to structure my days. The underlying information is there to guide my decisions. Even if I can't remember all of the terms and the science, it really does build your belief in fasting and help you stick with it.
I agree. Yep. I love that.
So you did mention that you are a clean faster. So can you talk about what you have in your eating window, or excuse me, your fasting window?
So it's so great. I love talking about this because that was also a reason why when I first heard about intermittent fasting, I was like, I just heard somebody said something at one point that was like, oh yeah, you can't have cream in your coffee. And I was like, oh, well, forget that. I'm never doing intermittent fasting. Like that's definitely like never going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But that's another reason why you have to understand the science behind what's going on. And once I really understood that, I was so resolved to like black coffee. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do this. Like this is going to happen. And I mean, it did take probably 2 or 3 months before I was like, okay, I like this. This is good. But I was determined. And once I started to really, obviously, to see the results of what was going on and start to lose some pounds and all that kind of stuff, like, then it made the black coffee like, okay, this is so worth it. And then also when you think about, like, when you really do think about it, it really is like a hot milkshake. Like, when you,
yeah, it is.
It's like, who drinks? I mean, who's going to wake up first thing in the morning and put that in your body? Like, you just don't need it, you know? And so, and if you want it, you can always have it in your window.
Yeah.
So,
and the funny thing is, I think about, I have always been a breakfast skipper. I don't even know when I don't, unless I was going out to breakfast, but I was not a regular breakfast eater, but I was a regular coffee latte in the morning drinker, especially once I stayed home. My last one was born. I made a latte every morning and I still considered it skipping breakfast. But I've always been a black coffee lover. And I feel like that gave me a real leg up starting. So I understand that that could be a struggle.
yeah, that's so great. Yeah, I love my black coffee now. And then I also have a steady supply of Perrier sparkling water. That's my favorite sparkling water of choice. I get it from Costco and it's a little bit cheaper that way. But yeah, I'll usually like I'll go home from the gym now and I'll open up my sparkling water and I'll sip on that all afternoon. And it just makes it, I love the bubbles. And then also when it's cold, it sounds funny, but I love just like a cup of hot water too is so nice, especially in the winter.
I can't get on board with that, but I've heard it called empty, which I think is funny. Like there's nothing in there empty. But yeah, I'm black coffee and water. I like iced tea in the summer, but I don't like hot tea. But
yeah, iced tea is good too. Yeah, that's a good one.
So one thing that you had mentioned is handling vacations a little different. Can you share with us any examples of that?
Yeah, it's another just the whole idea of having this be a lifestyle that you can do every day for the rest of your life and enjoy it and embrace it, and that it really, having that flexibility when you go on vacation to have longer windows is part of living. Like part of vacationing is food. I mean, it just is like, so, I mean, I want to go and I want to enjoy, I want to taste all the different, all the different places I'm going. I want to taste the food and try everything. And, I will, I always do some sort of fast for sure. I mean, obviously when you're sleeping, you're fasting, but,
right.
I always, try and get at least 12 hours in on vacation. If we plan like an activity or something, 16 is great. But usually I'll do like lunch and dinner or try and do like a brunch maybe around 11. But I always try and get some sort of fasting in just because it feels good in my body to do it. Now that when you have this lifestyle, you kind of start to realize that your body doesn't feel good when you're eat like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like you just don't, I get sluggish. I just don't like that feeling. It's so funny. Because you see like that all the time. But yeah, so, I still enjoy my vacation while feeling good and feeling energized. And, if I want to have a cocktail at the pool in the afternoon, I do. And I don't worry about it. And then when I get back, as long as I just kind of get back into my routine, which my body like loves getting back in that routine. It just craves it so much and just let my digestive system rest for a little bit. And I think, you're consistent with your eating windows 90% of the time, you'll be fine.
I totally agree. And another thing for my experience with fasting and vacations is, and I think people can really learn from seeing this or just hearing about it. A lot of times there are foods that you're not even looking forward to. So if you're at the breakfast bar at the hotel, really, is that worth breaking your fast for? You have the ability to, but I think that a lot of times you develop this sense of, I'm not like a snobby eater at all. I like lowbrow food as much as many people, but it's just like, well, I could have, a steamed sausage patty at home or bagels. And you just develop this sense of what's worth it and not. And just because you say you're going to enjoy vacation doesn't mean that you will, and it's all right to just go with the flow.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that term window worthy still applies to vacation for sure, because there's depending on where you're going or what you're up to, like just because, everybody else is going to hit up the fast food for breakfast doesn't mean like just because you're on vacation, like, no, that doesn't sound good to me. Like I want, like when I'm on vacation, like what sounds good is like, fish that I don't normally get to eat because I'm, in a coastal location or, something like that where, it really is a special thing that I can't get at home kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Our first vacation while I was fasting, we went to breakfast and I didn't eat. And my husband's like, wait, I thought you were going to fast. And I said, well, I actually just don't want this. And it was kind of eye-opening to me, like, oh, just because I said I was going to let loose doesn't mean I have to just let it go. And so,
yes, exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome. And let me see here. So you have 3 children, and actually our kids are very similar in age. Mine are 6 through 13. What do they think of mom fasting?
I find that kids, for the most part, are pretty self-absorbed.
Yes. Hey, we must have the same children.
Yeah. So, honestly, I don't talk about it with them really because I don't want, when I talk about food with them, I just talk about, eating things that are going to make our body feel good and we want to eat healthy things and we want to, we can still have a treat, but, for the most part, we want to put in food that's going to make our bodies feel good and grow strong and that kind of stuff. So I would say probably maybe around 4 or 5 months in is when my kids started to notice, like maybe on like a Saturday or something, because usually they're at school anyway. So it's usually like a Saturday, like, oh, mom's not eating lunch. So we kind of talk about that. And I just sort of tell them, you know what? You guys need to eat lunch. You guys are all growing kids. You need lots of energy and lots of strength and all the good vitamins in all your food to keep growing strong. I said, Mommy is 45 years old and I'm not going to have any more babies. And so Mommy just doesn't need all that food. Mm-hmm. Mommy can get by on a lot less food than you guys can. And so I just say, just kind of help them to see that, like, I'm listening to my body and my body's telling me that I just don't need that meal. And I'll be fine to wait for the next one. And then the next one for dinner, they see me eat like a lot.
And enjoying it.
They don't, and enjoying it and eating, all the healthy food. And like I said, I like to cook from scratch. And so they see me eat, just all the components of the dinner without worrying about, oh, mom's not eating the bread or mom's not eating the dessert or whatever. Like I enjoy myself around them. And I think, it's a good, healthy way to kind of show them how to do it without making it like, oh, mommy can't have that. It's just mommy listens to her body and I just don't need that.
Do you have any favorite window closers or any rituals to close your eating window?
Not really any rituals. I would say probably 2 to 3 times a week I'll have a dessert, but it just is on whatever night that I happen to want it, or if I made, something homemade, it has to be homemade. I mean, almost every time, unless I'm like out at a restaurant. Yeah. But, then that's pretty much homemade. But, I don't like, having kids, I have, sometimes we'll have some junk stuff around the house, like Oreos or stuff like that. And that just doesn't appeal to me. It has to be like, like a homemade chocolate chip cookie or homemade cupcake or something like that. Like if I, made it for the kids, like we just had Valentine's Day and we had some really good homemade cupcakes that I made for my son's class. And it was like, I'm going to have one of those after dinner. So yeah, so stuff like that, but it has to definitely be window worthy.
It's funny you mentioned Valentine's. I made cake pop treats for 2 of my 3 kids' classrooms, and I love to bake while fasted. It's one of my favorite things to do because then I have it to look forward to, and then I had it the next day, and it was worth the wait. It was window worthy, homemade, and delicious. But can you cook and bake while fasting?
Yes, I love to do that too. At first, I kind of thought, when I first started, I thought it would be hard to do that. Making my kids, because I started actually in the summertime, so my kids were home from school, so I still had to make their lunch every day. And, but, I think after my body got used to fasting and I didn't have that like, oh, I should be eating right now. Like once I got used to it and in my routine, I don't find it difficult at all. And I'm like you, I actually really like it because I can kind of like be around food and have something to look forward to later. And because I love cooking, it's like, it's a great thing to keep me busy without, and so I guess maybe it sounds weird to people because you're like thinking about food because you're making it, but you're not thinking like, oh, I want to eat this right now. You're just like, oh, I'm excited to eat it later. I don't know.
And you can smell it coming together, and it's the fruits of your labor. There's a lot of joy, even if it's not like consumption at the moment.
Yes, I totally agree.
How do you handle social settings where you potentially choose to fast instead of eating? Do you ever run into that?
Not too often. Because I am like a big planner with my fasting. So
me too.
My birthday was, I kind of do like what you do. And I know you in your videos, you've kind of talked like, oh, I wanted to go out to lunch with my husband. So like I did a down day the day before so I could enjoy have that. And I'll do stuff like that. Sometimes like that's another reason when I'll do a down day. Like I know, like I just had my birthday a few weeks ago and all my friends were like, let's go to lunch. And I'm like, and then of course they had to give me a hard time. You can eat lunch, can't you, Ashley? Yeah. Like, yes, I can eat lunch. It's totally fine. Totally fine. So I just kind of planned, like I did a down day the day before. And then we went out to this awesome lunch and I ate dinner and it was totally fine. I didn't think anything of it. So usually if I can kind of plan it like that, I will. Every once in a while I'll have something kind of random pop up. I don't know. I guess I really haven't had that where it's super uncomfortable. Another thing that I think I've done before is make it like, if I can, make it more of like a 500 calorie type thing.
Oh, yeah.
And just have it be like a down day. And then the next day I'll have an up day.
Yeah.
So it's kind of easy to do that with places that list all their calories on their menus now. So
I find that if I have a drink, most people don't notice. But recently I went to, it was like a school event and parents were involved and they had pizza. But we were having pizza that night for dinner and I thought, I'm just going to skip. And everyone around me was like, how are you not eating pizza? And I didn't really know them. So I was like, well, I fast. And they all felt bad eating around me. And I'm like, no, like, I'm so used to this at this point. If I wanted to eat, believe me, I'd be eating. But it is kind of funny that you have to talk people. You mentioned your friends. You can't eat. I have a girlfriend. Her and I like to meet for breakfast. And she'll say, I don't like going to breakfast because I worry that you're not eating the day before. And I'm like, I do it joyfully. Do not worry about me. I'm telling you, like, I happily do down days to have fun up days like this.
Yeah. And it feels so good. It feels, having those down days sometimes does just feel so good in your body. And then the next day, when you open your window and have that longer eating window, I mean, that feels good as well. And so I think people just think you're like suffering through the day before or something. And it's not like that at all. Like, I think people just don't understand like how once your body, gets used to the fasting, like it's not, it's more, it's a pleasure. It's not a punishment. It's not something you have to like push yourself to get through or anything like that.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to mention, you had said that you thought hunger would be like a constant build. And do you have any tricks of when hunger hits, different ways you distract yourself to get through that blip in time?
Yeah. Everyone's like, when I do, like if I do a down day, sometimes it's a little bit hard to get through that dinner hour. I sometimes I'll save like a really good Netflix show
Oh yeah.
and I'll go and watch like like I don't let myself like really watch TV like on the weekdays or whatever, but like that would be like a way to like I would let myself like watch a show.
Yeah, definitely.
Or yeah, or just doing the hot, like I know you said you weren't like a huge fan of the hot water, but having like a mug of hot water really like fills your, I don't know, just that warmth fills up your belly. And
Yep.
if I drink it down, you know, within 15-20 minutes, my hunger is totally gone. Same with the sparkling water for sure. The bubbles just take that hunger away in like 2 seconds.
Yep.
So yeah, all those little things. Yeah. Or, you know, if I'm like, oh, I can do, you know, I can quickly vacuum the house or clean
Yeah.
2 bathrooms or something like that. If I need to like get moving, you know.
I always try to do a chore that I don't like. So then it's like, okay, I know I'm going to distract myself. So that's good. And I'll get this done. So it's double good. Mine's taking care of laundry. If I have laundry to take care of, I'm like, I'll do that right now. And then just kind of get through that hump.
Yeah. Just keeping busy is helpful for sure.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to move on to the fast food rapid fire questions.
Okay, good. I'm excited for these.
What is your favorite drink?
Champagne, for sure.
Champagne? Okay.
I love champagne. It's like my favorite. It's like
That's
celebratory, and it's the same thing with the bubbles. I don't know. I just love it.
Yeah. I love all things bubbly, so I get it. What is your favorite food?
Pasta.
Pasta, yeah. Any type of way or any pasta?
So anything that I can make homemade or at like a really good like Italian restaurant where it's going to be homemade. Something like that. Like most of it's like recipes that I found that I can make from scratch, like with all just like scratch ingredients, or you make the sauce from scratch, everything. Even the pasta, if I can make the pasta from scratch, like if I have time, like I'll do that.
Ugh.
But yeah, it's just like, it's the best. And that's the best thing about intermittent fasting is you can have all the pasta.
I love making homemade pasta, except for the time involved. That would be a good down day activity. I'm like, hey, I should do that on a down day. Like ravioli. I've made that from scratch before. That'd be fun. You've given me an idea. Weird food combination that you love.
I don't know that I have any like really weird ones that I love, but I do enjoy like, I don't know, like sushi, raw fish, like sashimi.
Okay.
I love octopus. I love raw oysters, like all that kind of seafood type stuff, which I know a lot of people think it's totally weird, but those are the things that I like. So
that's awesome. And does pineapple belong on pizza?
You are a psychopath.
That's the lady that eats octopus.
Yes, I do not believe that pineapple belongs on pizza. No.
That's so funny. What's a food that most people love that you dislike?
I don't really get the whole avocado craze.
Oh.
I like avocados like okay. Like guacamole is like it's okay. Like I'll eat like a couple, chips of guacamole and it kind of tastes good. But after I've had a couple chips with it on there, I'm like, I'm good. And I don't really like to put it on. I don't really like avocado toast. I mean, it's all right, but yeah, I know. But some people just absolutely love it. So
I do love avocado. Okay. If you had to plan the perfect last meal, what would it be?
Oh, probably one of my pasta dishes that I make from scratch. Something with, I don't know, something really good with like fennel, and I love fennel. That kind of sausage fennel flavor, and something with a cream sauce probably.
That sounds amazing. Yeah. I'm coming over.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for doing the fast food round. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to discuss or share with listeners before we say goodbye?
I don't think so. I think I would just, like I said, just to reiterate, to if you're new, to just really dig into the science behind what's going on in your body. I think that will really help you stick with it long term, because you know what's happening and why it's happening and why it's important. Always clean fast. Don't kid yourself. It's just going to make your fast harder if you're drinking something that has a sweet flavor or anything like that. it's so much, it's just worth it. That's
I agree.
clean fasting is what will make this lifestyle doable for the long term.
Have you ever, just curious, have you ever tested like as a clean faster, see if you can add things in to see if you notice a difference?
So I haven't done it on purpose. Like I remember last summer I had this, I was at one of my kids' swim meets, and I picked a sparkling water that didn't look like it had any like flavor or anything in it. And I was in a hurry, so I just didn't look at the label, and I should have. But I popped it open. It was a really hot day, and I started drinking it, and I was like, oh man, because it was sweet. And I was like, oh, but I just didn't, I just threw the rest of it out, and I just moved on with my fast for the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you can tell like a few hours later, you can tell. Another thing that I have done, I tried those like peppermint drops for like a breath freshener.
Oh yeah.
Which I know like Jen says those are sort of like in the gray area. Yeah, I can't do those at all. Like those will make me so hungry. So I was super excited because I was hoping that they would help me with my coffee breath. But now I just have to, just drink water to get rid of that coffee breath.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because I've done the continuous glucose monitor testing and ketones when I was like testing keto for a month just to see what it would do. I've tested the things that people would have in a non-clean fast, diet sodas, flavored waters, the flavored coffees, and it never has a reaction in the blood glucose or the ketones, but I feel so different. And I've tested more than probably most people just because I'm interested in sharing data with people. But I 100% feel a difference, and I feel so much better with the clean fast. So I'm 100% in agreement with you that it makes a big difference in getting the longevity of the fast and getting to the end peacefully and enjoying it.
Yes, peacefully. That's such a good word. I love that because you kind of just have that calm. It's totally fine. Like I thought when I did this, I would be like panicked to start eating. But yeah. I'm not. Like I'm just like I'm making my dinner, and when it's time to sit down and eat, it really is that clean fast makes it that peaceful, calm experience for sure.
Yep. Yes, and if you're not there yet for a new listener, you will get there. It's an adjustment for sure. There's, at the beginning you might inhale everything, but you get to the point where it's peaceful.
Yep. That's good. That's right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ashley, for joining me today. I've really enjoyed talking to you.
Oh, so appreciate it. It was so fun to meet you and chat.
Yeah, you too.